is the best of the best Pizos Pages Book Awards. All right. Literary fiction. Literary fiction. Something with some real grit that gets my brain churning, gets my heart pounding, where I walk away feeling like, huh, or, huh, stretched me, or, huh, wow, there's so much more for me to learn. All right, so I like books with meat. I really do, even in all of the genres. And so my first is my very favorite genre, which is literary fiction, especially writers of color literary fiction. But I do love literary fiction. I love classic lit and that whole thing too, but I love literary fiction. So the award, Pizos Pages Best of the Best Book Award, goes to Sing Unburied Sing by Jasmine Ward. This book, I read it right when it came out. And, well, I don't know, because like I said, I don't chase. I read it early in the year, maybe back in February. And oh my word, this book, I devoured straight through. And these characters stay with me. I still think of them. And there is a passage in this book that it cannot be written any better. It is pure perfection. Pure perfection. And I'm going to read it to you guys on another vlog. But it is perfection. Oh my goodness. It's a scene where the brother is trying to make sure his sister is not poisoned by his mother. And I'm telling you, that passage of writing cannot be any better. It is perfection. So I love this book. She is right now, bar none, probably one of my favorite writer, and the one I would most aspire to write similar to. I don't think I got the chops for it, but it's still nice to dream. But Sing Unburied Sing. You want a book that's going to transfix you and sweep you into a narrative like no other? Sing Unburied Sing. It's amazing. Now I'm hearing Colson Whitehead, I think is his name. Nickel Boys is on that same line, and I do plan to read that this year. But this book right here, woo-wee. Pizos Pages Best of the Best Book Award. Sing Unburied Sing. Get it, read it, enjoy it. All right, next one. I'm going to go with women's fiction. Blah, blah, blah about women's fiction and all that. I like women's fiction. I like the title women's fiction. I'm a woman. I'm proud of writing fiction. I'm okay with it. This is women's fiction, and it's an old school one. It's an old school one because I didn't know about it. I'm learning as I get closer into these communities. But this author is becoming more and more beloved to me. I call her Auntie. She like Auntie on Twitter. If you haven't checked out Twitter, Pizos Pages, at Pizos Pages. I'm all over there with a bunch of shenanigans, lots about books and my kids and being a writer. She's like an auntie to me. She gives me shouts out. She retweets me. I love that about her. Maybe it's her publicist or somebody else. I don't care. I still love her. And I have been immersing myself in her work this year. And I love her writing. And I'm going to do a whole vlog on her writing. I love her writing. She's very close in that top 5 all-time favorite writers for me. I just need to read more of her work to really know. But this book right here, now it was published, let me see. Yeah, I'm really late. 20 years ago, 2000. I didn't know anything about it. I read her book that she released on the year she released it last year, and that made me say, let me find more of her work. And I went back and I started getting all of her books and reading them. And so it is Bernice L. McFadden. Bernice L. McFadden, and it's Sugar. Oh my. Oh my. This story stays with you long. And it is one of the best books I read this year that would be a great book club read, because you're going to want to talk this over with a girlfriend, a mama, a sister, a cousin, friend. You're going to want to talk about Miss Sugar in this, book. It's so good. It's delicious. It's sweet. It's delicious. It really is. This is Sugar. I really enjoyed it. The Bigelow women hate Sugar from the minute she arrives in their small Arkansas town. They have their names for this shameless creature with the bouncing blonde wig and red painted lips. Names they can only whisper behind closed bedroom doors. They want her gone, out of Bigelow and away from their men. But Sugar has traveled too far and survived too much to back down now. This is Sugar. It is delicious. Delicious. YA. So I'm going to pop up an image, hopefully, if I have the skill set to do that. I'm going to pop up an image because I listened to this on audiobook and it was exceptional. And I am a fan of this YA writer. I'm a fan of her work. I think this is my third book reading by her. And I keep reading them because I keep enjoying them. But it is Nicola Yoon's The Sun is Also a Star. The audiobook, the main character on the audiobook is wonderful. She is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But this book is so well written. It's just a great YA. It has complexity to it, but it still has the experience of a teen romance. It has the elements that I would love to make sure are within my book. Complex, layered, humorous, but still sweet, syrupy sweet. Called First Love. It doesn't go too far on some of the levels, recognizing that every kid is not experienced in every way. And so I really loved it. And it's smart. It is, I felt, intelligent YA. And I probably read about 15 or 20 new YA books this year. And that rose to the top for me. It rose to the top for me. It really was a great, great listen to. I looked forward to listening to it every day. And then when the movie came out, now this is a rule that I typically have. If I've read the book, I don't want to see the movie. I don't want to see the movie. Some movies will push me to read the book because I'll see that it was a book and I'll think, wow, this movie was great. The book is probably so much better. But if I read the book first, I don't care to watch the movie because I feel like it can't get any better than the book. It can not be as great as the book, but it won't be better than the book. But this one, I actually watched. I still don't think the movie was better than the book. The book is far better than the movie, but the movie was really good too. I really, really enjoyed the movie. Really enjoyed the movie. Like, we'll watch it again. I enjoyed the movie, and it was smart and complex and clever, and I thought it was a good job. I thought they did a good job on the movie. So, YA, Pizzo's Pages, Best of the Best award goes to Nicola Yoon's The Sun is Also a Star. All right. Let's keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Okay, I don't have either one of these books. Like I said, oftentimes once I have a picture book, then that picture book goes away. I give it away. But these two books are my two favorite picture books that I read this year. Two favorite picture books that I read this year. And the first one is Roots of Rap by Carol Boston Weatherford. And I loved it. And the illustrator, I cannot remember. Oh, I hate that, but I'll put it on the bottom. The illustrator, I really feel like this book should be a Caldecott. I really do. And Caldecott, don't make me go black on you on Caldecott, because you slipping on a lot of these books illustrated by African American illustrators. But it's wonderful. It's reminiscent of my young child, my upbringing when rap was just getting on the scene, and Run DMC, and going to concerts and dancing at parties with rap music. It's a book about rap music before rap music became hip hop, and I loved it. It's great. It's great. So that is I'm doing two because picture books are smaller. So that's the first one. And the second one, I raved about this book in my What I'm Loving in Kid Lit series. And I think it's What I'm Loving in Kid Lit Part 2, or maybe 3. Is Cosmo and the Robot. And it is by Brian Pinkney. Cosmo and the Robot by Brian Pinkney. I love this book. Oh, I loved it. It is clever. It's whimsical. It's really entertaining, but it's also very smart. It's nice to see, African American family that lives on Mars. Oh, it's so good. It's good. And there's a lesson in there without it being didactic. I just really enjoyed that book. Very, very much enjoyed that book. And I'll probably buy it over and over and over again because I did enjoy it so much and I want kids to experience it. So Cosmo and the Robot by Brian Pinkney, and The Roots of Rap by Carol Boston Weatherford. And I will put the illustrator down at the bottom. Great, great, great. They are the winners of the Pizos Pages Best of the Best Book Awards. Historical fiction. So when I was younger, for a very long time, historical fiction was my very favorite genre. And I actually have a couple of books bubbling up in me, one in particular that I would love to get the guts to write. And the time and the energy and the research and the whole nine. And it's historical fiction. But this year's Pizos Pages Best of the Best Book Award for historical fiction goes to, and I'm real late, but again, for me, some of these authors are fairly new for me, maybe within the last 3 years or so, because when you're on the grind with your career, with your babies and all of that stuff, some of the things that you love have to get put aside for a while. That's okay. It's okay, moms. It's okay. They will come back around. Your children will continue to grow up. You'll continue to find little spaces in time to rediscover you, and they will come back around. And in the coming back around, I have fallen in love with my favorite romance writer of all times, Miss Beverly Jenkins. She is my palate cleanser, and I'm going to do a whole vlog on her, but she is my palate cleanser. That means I typically will read a book, and before I can dive into some other genre, I'm going to read a Beverly Jenkins book. She got about 100 out there, so I could probably do that continuously. And she always on deadline, so there'll probably be 100 more coming out soon. But she is my palate cleanser. I read her work in between all of the works. Oh, there is nothing like, let me tell you, there is nothing like working a full day of work, dealing with your crazy kids, having to work with your ridiculous husband, and clean and cook and pick up dog poo and go to the grocery store and do all the things And then at the end of the day, to lay down in that bed with your low mood light and read a Beverly Jenkins book. There is nothing like it. Don't believe me? Try it. Try it for yourself now. Try it. So, she is, my historical fiction is Belle by Beverly Jenkins. Belle by Beverly Jenkins. And I used to really like this line of books. It's a Kamani True book. They don't have that line anymore. Boo! But you can still find a lot of these books. But I loved it. And I love the image on the cover. I loved it. It was all sweet. Another one of them, almost read it through every night, reading it. Talk about sweet, sweet sleep. This book, it was so yummy. So yummy. Best of the best. Pizzo's Pages. Historical fiction. Book award goes to Belle by Beverly Jenkins. All right, I'll read you a little bit of the back. Let's see when this was published. Because I know she has 25 years of books I'm trying to catch up on. 2009. First published by Avon Books in 2002. And she does talk about that in this book. So, after a grueling escape north, Belle Palmer is free, yet lost and alone. Separated from her father on the harrowing journey, Belle has nowhere to turn until she finds shelter with the first free family she's ever known. For the first time in her 16 years, Belle is able to express herself freely, except where her feelings for a certain dark-eyed young man are concerned. Daniel Best is headed for great things. Educated and handsome, at 18, he is full of the promise and dreams of his people and is engaged to the prettiest and the most spoiled girl around. So when a bedraggled stranger arrives in his household and turns into a vibrant, lovely young woman, his attraction to her catches him entirely by surprise. It's yummy. It's yummy. Best of the best. Belle by Beverly Jenkins. Go out, get it. You can find them. You know what I do? Thrift books. Thrift books. You can sponsor a sister. I love thrift books. Online thrift books. I love them. I get all of these classics from them. Alrighty. Let's keep going. I don't have the books in front of me, or, don't have them. Some of them were given to me. Sometimes I get a book and it's been signed by the author to whoever let me use it, and I always try to return those. And this one I think was like that. But it is for suspense thriller. And I read about 4 of those, which is new for me this year. I read about 4 of those this year. But the book that wins the Pizzo's Pages Best of the Best Book Awards goes to The Marsh King's Daughter. The Marsh King's Daughter by Karen Dion. I loved it. I really... Okay, let me erase that lie. Tell the truth. Shame the devil and tell the truth. I can't say I loved it like I love Sing or Sugar or Belle, but I'm telling you, it was riveting. Riveting. It had me. And that doggone daughter, half the time I didn't know if I wanted to smack her, throw her across the room, or help her escape, or help her fight, or whatever. That, I'm telling you, you talk about complex emotions, just all up and through that book. Complex emotions. And the funny thing about it is, I remember getting, when you read it, it's like you're zipping through because it's heart pounding. And then I got to a certain place where I was like, okay, she crazy. I'm done with this. And I put it down, and and the very next day I was like, let me see. Let me pick it back up, and I got to figure out what happened. And it was a read like that. Like, you are there and you're in the suspense, and your world is getting flipped upside down. It's a great book. It's really, really good. And I hear, and she's releasing a new one, and I just tweeted to her that I'm excited for the new one. I'm a fan. I'm a fan now. And but yeah, Marsh King's Daughter, and I'll put that title down there and hopefully have an image. It's great. It's great. Go out there, read it, get it. You'll enjoy it. All right. Informational text. Informational text. I read this book, and I will tell you, I think when I did my review of it, I probably only gave it 3.5 stars. And I'll tell you why. But the best of the best book award, Pizos Pages book award, goes to, for informational text, Shackles from the Deep. And it's tracing the path of a sunken slave ship. Sunken slave ship. The great thing about this book was that I had read an article, and soon after, like I said with books, there that book was. I didn't know. I ordered a whole lot of books, and sometimes when I put in my books for children, it is a children's book. It is a children's informational text. When I put in my order, they will give me some bundles that I don't know the titles until I open them, and that happened to be a title within the bundle, and I immediately grabbed it to read and be able to, because I had read the article that already gave me a little bit of background knowledge, but not a whole lot. I thought the book was very interesting. It was a very quick read about Shackles from the Deep, who is the best of the best Pizos Pages book award winner by Michael H. Cottman. That the reason why I gave this a 3.5, not a 5, is because I think it skimmed the story and the information a little too much. It just skimmed the surface. And I thought that there were certain areas of the book that could have dived much deeper into the information, whether it was about his passion and love for deep sea diving. He does talk about that a little more extensively, but I wanted to learn so much more, like, how did you first learn the classes? Were you scared the first time you go diving? You know, what is the experience like for you? And did you tell your friends that you were doing it? You know, I don't know. I just wanted more. And there is a whole network of African Americans that do this deep sea diving and treasure hunting. And I thought, oh, I could have fallen much more into finding out. It's a very thin book. I just think they could have did justice by going deeper into content. And so, but as far as a well-written, very clear, exceptional topic that is not been inundated with tons of published books out there about it, great. And that's what made it great. For me as an adult who had already seen an article, who had then get the book and read it, now it makes me want to explore even more. I thought it was really good, and I think it could pique other readers' interest. I wish it would have did more to pique young people's interest even more, because the thing about it is, with young people, you're competing against so much information out there that you got to do a lot to get them to go further with the information you're putting out there. And I didn't think the book did that. Okay? But still award winner. Best, I read two or three books on craft, how to write, how to be a writer. And the best book I read this year on how to write well is The Magic Words. The Magic Words. And this is by Cheryl B. Klein, The Magic Words. I really liked it. I thought it was extensive. I'm telling you, it was extensive. But I wrote all the way through it. She really breaks down a lot of information for you about everything. What became a little bit tiring for me was she specifically talked about 2 or 3 books that she's edited, and the books for me that she talked about didn't have a whole lot of high interest for me. I guess she used those books because she had edited those books and she has a relationship with those authors. I would have rather her use a more popular known book and show us some of the examples she was talking about. So, but this was really great. It is The Magic Words, Writing Great Books for Children and Young Adults, and that was really important for me. And this book definitely does that, by Cheryl B. Klein. She's on Twitter. She doesn't engage all that much, but she's on Twitter. When I was reading this, it was like eating a well-nourished meal. It was very, very nourishing to me, and very confirming that you're okay. You're on the right track. And what you don't know when it comes to writing books for young people and children, you can learn. And that's what this book was for me. The next writing that I want to talk about is an article, my favorite article, because I told you guys I've been reading a ton of articles. So I have a new favorite magazine. I'll put it up on there. I'm really going to try to be brave, guys, and put this stuff out, even though I'm already late getting the best of the best Pizzo's Pages Book Awards out to you. But it's in January. It's okay. Next year I'll be in December. But the new literary or magazine, I don't know what you call it, online magazine, publication that I'm really loving is called The Bitter South. The Bitter South. And I have read it for the last couple of months, and I totally enjoy it. I like a little, controversy on reads. I like anything that's going to be complex enough to really make me think or want to have a conversation about, or research more, or really help me churn. How do I feel about it? Because that really, one of the things it does is really pushes my poetry forward, because that's how I wonder and ponder and express my lack of knowledge on so many topics is through my poetry. And Bitter South does that for me. And I read an article at the end of the year about Zora Neale Hurston. So the article was called The Sum of Life. I'm looking down on my notebook to make sure I get it right. The Sum of Life. And I'll put a link down at the bottom. Zora Neale Hurston. It was profound. It was profound. It had passages in it that I had to pull out my notebook and write down. It was beautifully written, very impactful. I loved it. I wrote down some wonderful passages. The sun fell away. Oh, I love that. Patterns of lakes bleeding into the nearby woods. What a description. And trees glowing green. Trees glowing green. When breezes blanket the state like a duvet. That is just such imagery. Lies in service of the truth. Lies in service of the truth. Little tales that fasten down the spirit of something bigger. The distance between green and metastasize. I thought it was beautiful. This was one of the summary passages. In her work, there was a deep-seated haunting concern with trying to reveal what made people human. Their flaws, their bent, their bright and dark, their morbidity and evilness. it seemed like she meant to chart out what made her human too, and by proxy, something like the cartography of the human soul formed in her work. Ah, profound, profound. So that article was my absolute favorite, and I read articles. I can read 3 or 4 articles in a day. It was excellent. I loved it. And I will tell you, I read another one that is worth the honorable mention, but let's give Mr. Michael Adno, Sum of Life, Zora Neale Hurston, his Bezos Pages Best of the Best Book Award for article. It published in the Bitter South.